Hello, dear students. I am Samir Velankar. I welcome all of you to this another video on pointers in C. In this video, we will be seeing a very interesting topic called pointer to a function. Let's see. Now, you all know every variable is stored in the memory and every variable has some address. Just as every variable has an address, our program also has an address, because where is program stored? An executing program, which we also called as process. A process or a program is also stored in the RAM, so it will also have some address. Hence, program code is also stored in the memory, and hence code also has address. Now we can find address of any function. You remember main is also a function. So you can find address of any function by just writing name of the function. So suppose, why suppose, always you will always write a function in your program called int main. Of course, that's from where the program starts. Now this main is a function, and obviously this main is stored in the memory. In fact, this entire code is stored in the memory, isn't it? This program is stored in the memory. So if you imagine this block of memory, this is the memory, then this function int f1, int x, which has been written on top of the program, will have some address from where it begins. Maybe address is 100, and then the function continues. And also int main, which is also a function, will also have some base address, maybe 200, from where the function starts. So the code is there in the main memory, and code always has address, and you can find out where is your code located. Remember, your code is under execution, that's why it is in RAM. You can find out where is your code located by just finding address of main or finding address of f1, because every function starts at some base address. Now if you want to know where is main stored in the memory, you just have to write main, that's all. But remember, don't put any parenthesis after the function. You see what I am pointing to? See the cursor. We can find address of any function by just writing the name of the function. So the name of the function is main. Or if you want to find out where is f1 located, you should just write f1 without any parenthesis. So name of the function will give address of that function. So let's see what we have done in this code. I have written a simple function f1 which gets some integer x and returns that integer plus 2. So its return type is integer. Of course, the f1 is loaded in the RAM as shown here. Then I have main. In main, I am trying to print address of main. And of course, I will use %u because I am printing address. And only the name of the function without any parenthesis is going to give the address of main. Similarly, I am trying to get the address of f1, which is also a function, and address is printed in %u, and I'll only write the name of the function. So the output of this code may be address of main is 100, address of f1 is 200. So great. Programmer can not only find address of a variable, but he or she can find address of the code also by just writing the name of the function. By the way, if you know by now that every function has some address, then we can always declare a pointer in the memory. This pointer also will be there in the memory, and we can ask the pointer to store the address of the function, so the pointer can point to the function. Remarkable, isn't it? Remarkable. We are having a pointer which doesn't point to a variable now, but the pointer points to the program code. It points to the base address of a function called f1. We can do this. We can declare a pointer to a function. So that's what we are up to now. Scrolling down now. How do you declare pointer to a function? Now, declaration of the pointer to a function is similar to declaring a function. Remember, whenever you declare a function, you have to write return type of the function. Like, what does the function return? Int, void, float. Which type of return value does the function have? And function always has some parameter list, isn't it so? Maybe the function does not have any parameters, but then still you have to write empty brackets. Okay, and then between these two, you just write the name of the pointer which you want to declare. But the name of the pointer with asterisk symbol must be, check my words, must be declared in the bracket. Must be declared in the bracket. I'll give you the reason, don't worry, trust me. I'll give you the reason why the pointer should be written in the bracket and what will happen if you don't write bracket. All right then. Let's see this program again. The same program I have written again over here. We have f1 function which returns int and which takes int parameter x. This x is added with 2 and value is returned. Then we have main, obviously we should have, and we are printing address of main by just printing main, and we are printing address of f1 by just printing f1. We saw that in the earlier program. But this line is of our interest now. This line. Now, what is this line saying is we are declaring a pointer. I'll write it better here. We are declaring a pointer. This p is a pointer. Of course, because it is declared with asterisk symbol. And this is a pointer to a function which takes a int parameter. This pointer can store address or point to such a function which takes one int parameter, and it can point to such a function which returns an integer. So you just go back to the declaration. How do you declare a pointer to a function? First you write return type. So you mean that this pointer p will point to such a function which returns int. And then you write also the parameter list. So you mean that this pointer will point to such a function which takes one int parameter. Now you tell me, in this entire program, don't we have a function f1? Check this. F1 is a function exactly which takes one int parameter and returns an int. See, it takes one int parameter and returns an int. So this pointer p which I am marking here can very well store address of f1. But how do you store the address? It's so easy. You just say p equal to f1. Come again. If you write only f1, the name of the function, what do you get? Address of f1 function. And address of f1 function is stored by the pointer p. I hope you got it. Going up here in the picture, this p was declared as a pointer to such a function which takes one integer and returns an integer. And just say p is equal to f1. If you say f1, the name of the function, it's going to give address 100 and p will store 100. So we say p now very well points to the function. I hope you got this. Now starts the fun part. Really. The next line, printf, is printing value returned by f1 function is %d. Clearly this is called to the function. F1 is called by passing value 2, and obviously 2 is received by the local parameter x of the function, and the function returns 4 because x is added with 2 and the value is returned. So 4 is returned back at the call here, and this printf is going to print 4. But the major thing that you should understand over here is, here also we are printing value returned by f1 function, but we are not calling f1 function. We are using p here. But what is p? P is the pointer to the function f1. So if you write p, it itself means calling the f1 function because p is pointing to f1. And obviously you have to pass the parameter because f1 needs the parameter. Again this parameter x will become 2 and 4 will be returned at the call. So if a pointer points to a function, you can call the function without using actual name of the function, but you use the name of the pointer, and using the name of the pointer you can access the function. Great, isn't it? The output of these two lines is going to be 4 and 4, confirming that the same function was called. Okay, let's go back to Atom software. I have kept this program ready over here. The same program which we were talking about. And here we are having a pointer. Now, can you read this very well? Yes, I hope so. P is a pointer. It is written in the bracket, which can point to any function which receives an integer parameter and which returns an integer. And F1 is exactly that kind of function. So P stores address of F1. Note that we have not written and here, and F1, because the name of the function itself is the address. So you should not write and in this particular topic where we are talking about address of the function. The last two lines obviously return 4 4, and these lines are printing address of main and address of F1. So if the main is stored at address 100, if F1 is stored at address 200, outputs will be 100, 200, and then 4 4. Let's see what's the output of this code by executing it. So it will print addresses of main, address of F1. Of course, the addresses are going to be a very large number, as we are dealing in the diagrams I saw. I have shown that the address of main is 100 and address of F1 is 200. Oh, it's taking very long to run this. I think I should change. Okay, fine. Maybe that you are not able to properly see this address of main, but I'll spell out for you. The address of main actually is 4199371, and address of F1 is 4199360. What's important is both main and F1 are having address, and the value returned by F1 function is 4. Interestingly, the second line was called to the function F1 via pointer P. Okay. Now, more on this. Let's see. I'll just clean the slate. Now, I will do some writing work. You just have these puzzles and try to answer these questions. If you have understood, really you have, I think you have understood what is pointer to function. Let's say I am having a function like this in my program. Void F1 int x, float y, float y. And the function does something that's immaterial. Now, I want to declare pointer to this function. So how do I declare pointer to the function? Come again, declare a pointer in the bracket. So P is the pointer. This pointer is pointer to such a function which takes one int parameter and one float parameter, separate them with comma. And this pointer is pointer to such a function which returns nothing. Check the return type of the function and then put a semicolon. So this is a pointer to a function which takes int and float as parameter and which returns nothing. So how do you store address of F1 in P? You can just say P is equal to F1. I hope you are getting it, because name of the function itself is the address. So now P, the pointer P, will point to this function stored in the memory, correct or not? And how do you call the function? You can call F1 function by passing an integer and float, obviously, because that are the two parameters. Or you can call F1 function by using P. P is a pointer to F1, and you can pass an integer and a float. Okay, I hope you got it. Now more about this. I will write again a function declaration, and you try to understand that function declaration first of all. Suppose I have a function like this: int asterisk F1 int x, and the function does something. Now, how do you read this function? F1 is a function which will return int pointer. See, this is the return type, isn't it? So F1 will return int pointer means what? F1 will return address of a integer. Int pointer means it will return address of an integer. And what is the parameter taken by F1? It is int x, integer parameter. Now suppose we want to declare a pointer to such a function. How would you declare? Put pointer in the bracket. Let's say W is the pointer this time. What is the parameter taken by the function? It is int. What is the value returned by the function? It is int pointer, semicolon. This becomes the declaration of the pointer to such a function which takes int parameter and which returns an integer pointer. So how do you store address of f1 in W? You just say W is equal to f1 because you know name of the function gives address of the function. So W will point to that function. Isn't it so? So I hope you are understanding how to declare a pointer to a function. Now, interestingly, in one of the GATE exams, there was a question asked. Yes, GATE 2003, I got it. Just get through this question. I am sure you will be able to solve it in less than 1 minute. What does the following C statement declare? Int asterisk f is written in the bracket. So surely this is a pointer, isn't it? Pointer to a function. And this is the parameter. Now, what kind of parameter is the function going to take? It is going to take pointer parameter, integer pointer parameter, isn't it? And what is the function going to return? An int. So what is this definition mean? F is a pointer to a function. Come again, f is a pointer to such a function which takes int pointer as a parameter and which returns int value. So A option I think is correct. A function that takes int pointer as argument or parameter and returns an integer. It was so simple, isn't it? It was so simple. Okay, going back to our pointer to function topic. I said that when you declare a pointer, I stressed on the point. When you declare a pointer to a function, you should write that pointer in the bracket, I said. Now, why? What happens if you don't write bracket over there? Let's see. I hope you already understood it, but then continue with this discussion. Suppose I declare a pointer like this, int pointer p bracket int. Suppose I write this. Now, is this p a pointer to a function really? No, p is not a pointer to a function. Please understand. We are saying p itself is a function here which takes int parameter and p returns integer pointer. P is a function which takes integer parameter and returns integer pointer. Now, what does this mean in that case? Int asterisk p in the bracket and int. Now we want to say p is genuinely a pointer which will point to a function which takes int parameter and returns an int. I hope you have understood every aspect of it. Thank you very much.